Hello, boys, and welcome to the Trough. I'm Dr. Infinity, and if you don't know what the Trough is, this is a series on my channel where I review indie books. Typically, I'm not against reviewing more mainstream books, but so far it's just been a heavy focus on the indie stuff. And this week, I have a triple feature. We're looking at two publications from Unreal Press. They are Tales of the Unreal and Spare Change. These are both anthologies. I'm going to be reviewing these two first, and then the last book we're going to talk about is Nutcrankr by Dan Baltic, which was interesting. I thought all these books were worth talking about, and I'm going to get into do I recommend them or not as I talk about them. There's going to be full spoilers for all of the books. For the anthologies, I'm just going to kind of flip through them. I took some notes on the stories that I liked, so I'll talk about those a bit. But yeah, full spoilers for them, and I'll have links down below where you can purchase these books for yourself if you're interested. Tales of the Unreal, this kind of reminded me of like the Bizarre Archives and Agion. Those are two other anthologies that I've reviewed on this channel. So I'm going to briefly discuss all the stories. Traffic Stop, it was fine. It was a guy gets stopped by a police officer, and it turns out the police officer is like a serial killer, and it's like, yeah, it's all right. The Collapse of the MHS Mariana, I like this. This was a assistant cook keeping a journal about this ship that they're on. And it's like rotting and everything's just going to hell. And it's that was cool. It's just like from the point of view of like a journal. I like that a lot. Twin Candles I thought was fine. It's like a creepy little horror one. Then we have KGB Agents from Beyond the Stars. This is by James Craig, who's an author I've already discussed on this channel. He wrote 5 to 4, which was this kind of a escape the room-esque story, kind of like a sci-fi thing. It was pretty good. If you're interested, you could buy it and then, check out my review on the channel, right? And then we can discuss it that way. But this is pretty good about some Americans that are doing some shit over in the Soviet Union, and it goes bad because they're trying to get the hell out of there. And yeah, the Branca was alright. It's just kind of this weird tribal people thing. Anyway, Silver Pasture is about this old man who goes to a diner, and then he's imagining like a maggot talking to him, and then it's like he's having a stroke thing, and he has like some PTSD, and like I thought it was like fine. I thought it was fine. Vestigal. This is about like a homeless guy and stuff, and not really my type of thing. We have a jar, and this is a woman, and then it's like a door's open in her house. It's like it's only like 3 pages, but again, it was just like fine. I would, some of the stories are just like kind of short, so it's sort of hard to like form a emotional impact and like kind of to care, right? We have Not My Problem by When You, and I thought this was fucking great voice. I thought this was amazing voice, and it's only a 5-page story, so I was kind of like hoping to see this guy again in the other anthology. It's about this obese guy, Lewis, and he's traveling in this car to go for this job interview. And it's just done like extremely well. It's just done extremely well with his voice, and the guy's just kind of a piece of shit. But he's very amusing. Railroad Boys, this is another one where it's like it just gets kind of like metaphysical, and I understand it's like Tales of the Unreal spun out of control for me, where it's like I don't know, like I think I need like it has to be unreal but still grounded enough for me to like form an attachment to it, instead of just like spiraling into something crazy when we really don't get to know like our people too well, if that makes sense. The Nuclear Man, this was good. This is a guy that's pushing a little cart with like some kind of nuclear device on it, and he's dropping it off to some people that are going to do an experiment with it. And this was solid. Unbound. This is just another one where it's like not really my thing, where he's like wandering around in a dream and stuff like that, and books. And Vacui. This is like the best one of the lot, I would say. This is a really good one where it's this guy is on this island with two other people. Like there's one other guy that's also like an employee, and then they have like a boss, and they're performing like these they're just like taking notes and shit. They don't really know why they're there or when they get to leave, and it's just cool. It's just like an interesting little mystery built there, and it's kind of like the short story I like, where if this got a continuation, that'd be cool, but it stands well enough on its own. It's just solid enough on its own where it doesn't like overstay its welcome or bog you down with too much stuff going on. So overall, I think the Tales of the Unreal is like, it's all right. I like the collapse of the HMS Mariana, the KGB agents one, the Not My Problem, even though that's short, it's very good voice. Nuclear Man, Vacui. Those ones were my favorite of them. And Tales of the Unreal is only like $9 on Amazon, so I think that's like a fair enough price. It's not a super long little anthology. It's like 100 and maybe like 50, 60 pages. So I think it's decent. Not like my favorite anthology that I've read, but it was still like cool to see some authors that I already know and then get some other good voices in there. Spare Change and Other Stories, it's about 300 pages, I want to say. So it's about double the length of the first one. Watch Guys is pretty good. It's about basically these rich people that it just spirals into more and more depraved shit that's going on. Gross Adjusted Income, it's about this woman that was like a secret agent and stuff, and now she's like living a more normal life. It was all right. Tears of Men. Yeah, this is like a World War I. We have a motif of a chessboard, which I thought was kind of nice. Them and some men trying to storm a trench, and it doesn't go very well. Bacchus, I am a midwit, and I'm not the brightest guy in the room. I'm the first one that's going to say that. But I didn't really understand this one, or like what the message is, because it's revealed that the student that goes like on a rampage was actually transgender, and then like there are a bunch of laws passed and shit that makes transgenderism illegal, and I'm like, okay, this is something. But at the end, I don't really know what the message is. The killer had a sibling also at the school, and then it's revealed that the sibling, who everyone thinks is a guy, is actually a girl, trying to pass as a guy. And I don't really know what the message is, or are we supposed to feel sympathy for them? I thought this was like anti that or whatever. I don't really know. So that one was kind of a mixed bag for me. Foreigner is like a bunch of little collections of just dealing with shitty people and like food customer service. That was fine, enjoyable. Tenebris. Oh, okay, this is like it's a couple. It's an artist and his wife, and then like kill people and do some evil shit. It was fine. Kyriactic Response. I ended up skipping through this one because I just kind of hate this stuff where it's just like about dreams and it's like metaphysical and just kind of stuff like that, and that's not really my thing. I really don't like it. And it just goes on, and it's like, I don't really care about this. Marauders is this weird, like, post-apocalyptic, like, weird army under the command of General Goodluck, and they worship Jesus Christ. And it's good. It's definitely strange, but it's a very solid voice here. It's the Lord's Army of Jesus Christ and General Goodluck. The butler did it. It's like, here's this butler for this rich guy, and he's like also a serial killer and stuff, and it's like, not really what I like. Or it was, again, fine. Not like bad, but it was fine. People's Utopia, this felt a bit like Idiocracy, and I sort of like this because I think they do voice like pretty well, but I'll get into it. It's about this rich dude on this yacht on Venus, and he has this mega yacht called the Pump and Dump 3, very classy. And basically, like, he has to go back into a major city away from, like, to get some, like, life-restoring procedure. He has to do this, like, maybe every 100 years. And it turns out in the time that he's been away that, like, Venus is now, like, a communist state. There's one thing that kind of... I did not like. It's something that I don't really like, and I know that Unreal is like kind of a 4chan thing. So is Nutcrankr. We'll get into that later. That's kind of why I wanted to pair these two up with each other. But there's this one character called Elizabeth, and she is described as wearing nothing more than a t-shirt, and she's someone who stopped their aging at 14, and it's like, you know what I mean? It's like borderline. It's borderline stuff, and I think everyone knows what I mean when I say borderline, and I don't really like it. I'm not okay with that stuff. I've never been good with that. There's this blow up with him trying to just get like his yacht back and just away from all this shit. But I really like this on 205. We have the de-escalation bot, and it rolled over to Reginald with a comically large smile. Sir, please remain calm. This can all be resolved peaceably, or I can begin use of the civil obedience baton. 207, we have the robot now administrating appropriate non-lethal restraint, the robot said as it started bludgeoning him in the back. The crowd erupted into cheers as several other police officers scampered over to start kicking him in the kidneys until he could taste his own stomach acid. I'm like, that shit is good. That shit's like fucking great. You know, that stuff's wonderful. Life by the River. This is like that earlier one where it's like a dream thing, and I end up skipping through this. There's this river, and they're like siblings, and on page 230, in all caps and a bunch of exclamation points, he had an incredibly violent orgasm. Yeah, not really my thing. The beginning of a new and free society. Okay, basically there's a dome. This guy leaves the dome because he's depressed that his wife's dead. And he goes outside and he meets some people, and they're sort of like a resistance. Well, I don't know if about resistance. Like, they're not trying to like save the dome, but you know, they formed the beginning of a new and free society. And like, I liked it well enough. Spare Change, a cyber pimping vignette by Payroll Smalls. I really like this. This is about what happened to pimping, you know, in the future, whoring becoming mainstream and everything. It's like, what is a pimp supposed to do? It's just about like his trial and tribulations to make some money and to escape being like a wage cuck, right? So 264, it was some woman comes down to like hunt him down for a bounty, right? And she said some shit to me about bringing female droids their rights and stopping droid trafficking. I responded twofold: shut your mouth, bitch, as a warm-up. Why is a punk like you riding corp pig dick as a shutdown? She didn't like either. Great. Good. Kim fighting with another pimp later on. He finds like some weird like crypto people underground that I don't really understand, but that's probably just like cryptocurrency in general where I don't fucking get it. This is what I will call the last story on page 275, but we have one which I really think shouldn't really be a part of the anthology, called Redacted by No One, and it's on page 276, and it's just black boxes of text. There are no words or anything, and I was kind of looking like, is there supposed to be like a pattern, and is that pattern supposed to spell something out? But it just felt a little pretentious. I think you could have just done Redacted by No One and have it be a page or two, and you get the message across. Instead, it's, 31 pages of just like black text, which doesn't really feel necessary. Overall, I would say if you're looking to check out anything from Unreal, I've only read these two things, but if you're only going to pick one, I would say Spare Change and Other Stories. You get more bang for your buck with this one. And the stories that you do like, if you like them, have a little more meat to them. There's more pages to them rather than Tales of the Unreal. I would say I'm more soft on Tales of the Unreal for recommending it. I think it's all right. It's definitely not bad, but it's more like it's a very soft recommendation, and Spare Change is more of a firm recommendation. There are those two. I don't regret reading them or anything. That's why I'm doing this video. I don't really want to review stuff where it's just, hey, I fucking hate this. I'd rather be, hey, here's this thing. I like some of it. There's some problems, but overall, I still recommend it. We're at Nutcrankr, and this is a guy where it was just someone on Twitter reposted this guy or retweeted him, and I saw the cover of his book, and I'm like, well, I review some indie books. And it was really the strength of the cover itself that drew me to it. I would say this book resembles, if you know Confederacy of Dunces by that one guy, he like fucking killed himself or some shit and his mom wouldn't let it go, so eventually the book got published. But it's sort of like that with just a weak kind of bitch delusional protagonist, but he has these delusions of grandeur, and except it's like a 4chan like incel dude. That's basically this book. So if that's not a hook for you, then I don't know what will be. This is on the first page. Under such circumstances, a lesser man would have put down his penis and given himself over to depressive thinking and cowardly imaginings. But when faced with a mental obstacle, Spencer Grunhauer knew that he had to persevere, flogging the pony until it rose and marched again. Very strong first page, right? Just very strong first page. And it's about this guy Spencer, who is just delusional fuck up, and just kind of his trials and tribulations and him trying to navigate his life autistically, right, as he writes down this doctrine or whatever called The Project. So we're just going to go over some pages that I marked and talk about them. The book's a recommendation if you are interested in a Confederacy of Dunces like thing, just a book about a really delusional 4chan guy and just him being just a fuck up and autistically doing shit. Maybe check it out if you don't want spoilers for it. The first part of the book is about Spencer trying to woo his teacher at college, Nora, and Spencer does this great thing where he wants Nora to be a whore for him and to leave her husband and cheat on her husband for him, an alpha male, obviously. But when Nora displays an interest in someone other than Spencer and not her husband, now she's a whore. Now she's a horrible woman. So you have this really great hypocrisy. And Spencer cries a fucking lot in this book. She seemed to be under the mistaken impression that the wetness around Spencer's eyes were tears rather than sweat from the exertion of the emotional gymnastics of their hallway encounter. Just overall, his actions are it's just great. It's just great being in Spencer's head, which I did not find relatable whatsoever. Spencer sees himself as like this macho, like kind of badass, traditional Western male, alpha male dude. We just have him like weeping and going into Nora's bathroom and just breaking a bunch of her shit. And just like how he frames events in his own mind when we, the reader, have just like gone over them. It's wonderful. On page 29, we're still at the party that Nora's hosting at her home with her students, but Nora had been drinking steadily since her nervous breakdown in front of Spencer in the darkened hallway. It's just a lot of shit like that. It's just throughout the book. Throughout the book, we get a really good voice from Spencer, and he never really learns or changes, and it's just good, wholesome autism. Page 34. To be reminded of her beloved husband was an unwelcome thought, for Nora's sins against the institution of marriage were manifold and monstrous. Fidelity was but a totem to this woman. I really like Spencer. Very much like Spencer. Just the autistic voice, the delusions of grandeur. All women are whores, except, if she's a whore for me, then she's totally cool and based and trad-pilled and all that. It's all wonderful. Just the justifications in his own mind about all this degenerate behavior. Not really having any strong beliefs, except for him, except for his selfish beliefs. And he can be trad and all that online, but when confronted with choices in real life, he'll always take hedonism over traditional values. And at the end of this thing where he gets just thrown out of this party and he's like, I'm going to piss on her house. He cannot, because he's too anxious to, but he can't admit that he's anxious. And he justifies it with saying he was meant to urinate indoors with the civilized, because he always has these little justifications. And we jump around a bit in time. We started in, I want to say 2009, right? And now we're in 2016. But our first chapter was Spencer in jail. Okay, on page 46, Spencer is at a job where he's doing some shit. I don't know. It's some kind of a center for social advancement. I don't know. It's some commie fag shit. But anyways, he gets brought in because it turns out someone has reported him for writing blog posts on a website, 3chain. They read out some of his posts in front of him. In one of the posts, the author seems to refer to himself using your name, said Zachary. It's the line that reads... And do not let anyone say that Spencer G is afraid to proclaim to the world, yes, I am a monarchist. Demonizes and sexualizes every single woman that he ever meets, but on page, because he's above all that, he's a good boy, he's a good guy. But on page 63, what he has was the feminine inextricable from the satanic, very possibly. Spencer also decides to go online to a sadomasochism website, and he's trying to find a woman to hook up with, despite him, being the proud man of the West, and he's going to save the West with his project, right? He's going to restore traditional masculinity in the historic West, despite being a fucking degenerate. 69, he's trying to woo this woman called Crystal, even though he's kind of like this, even though he's like kind of grossed out by her weight and the piercings of her face. It's really her, it's her breasts, and he calls her his little prized piglet. 73, we have Spencer meeting Crystal for the first time, and he's checking out this waitress in the restaurant. Revulsion became soft female flesh and colorful tattoo combined to form a visual anthenema and arousal, because a woman who could do that to herself might do anything at all. This is something I wanted to bring up about tattoos. This isn't my take. It's something I saw on Twitter. I'm like 95% sure it's just somewhere on Twitter. But it's like, if you had a really beautiful woman, and if you're looking at a beautiful woman, you're like, wow, she's gorgeous. You wouldn't think, man, she would look so much better with tattoos, right? But if you saw a really beautiful woman, but she had like a tattoo or two, you would go, she's really beautiful, and I will overlook the tattoos. But like, no one's ever looking at a hot chick and thinking, man, she would look so much better with tattoos. Like, maybe there's like some freaks or whatever out there that want people to have like piercings and shit. But I don't know. I'm like pretty anti-tattoo. Like, but it's like, I think I would put up with like one or two, right? One or two small ones if the woman was like cute and everything. But yeah, I would never like look at a beautiful woman and be like, wow, tattoos. Okay, so Spencer spies the piglet trotting into the restaurant. She looked as though she would have been more at home in the food court of a suburban mall than the floor of a downtown restaurant. Spencer almost wished to keep his face in his phone in the hopes that Crystal would fail to recognize him and go away. All great stuff. This girl's just going on about racism and sexism and misogyny and philosophy, and he just swallows all of his beliefs like the little fucking worm that he is, because he's like, I really wanted to feel those breasts, man. Which I think is pretty accurate for a lot of the guys online, Not for me, of course. Page 80, our past is definitely pretty racist. Yeah, it's definitely hard to handle how terrible we've been. We're back in Spencer's apartment, and he's just like smacking Crystal's ass. But it's not going well, and Crystal's going to leave, so he starts crying and weeping again like a fucking bitch. And she ends up staying just out of pity for how pathetic he is. I like this on 93. I'm fine, said Spencer, nobly looking away from Crystal into a print of Goya's Saturn devouring his sons, which is posted with double-sided tape above Spencer's desk. That is fucking real, dude. And not me, but like someone else, like if they looked behind them at like a bookshelf and they had a bunch of like comics and like fantasy and sci-fi and shit and a few history books, and there was like a bust of Napoleon on there, I don't know, man. Like, oh man, that's like fucking accurate, dude. That's fucking good. That's fucking good voice. Just the fine art, but like shittily posted above his desk with fucking tape. That's fucking good. They go to the Women's March in DC where, they had like the pussy hats, and Spencer stands in front of them all and he puts on the pussy hat because we just have to... How low will he go? And they're part of just like this weird like pervert club. Spencer cries again because Crystal's talking about fucking Enrique, who's a guy in the pervert club. And they like run into like some Antifa guys that he calls like communist ninjas or global Marxist ninjas, whatever. Yeah, communist ninjas. There we go. 123, Crystal, the piglet, who is torn between hating and loving and needing just all the time. She's the one that saves him from Antifa, but he's still a little bitch about it. 127, we're heading back. For instance, while Enrique was belaboring the merits of his favorite character from the Harry Potter children's book series, a popular collection of novels which promoted sorcery and homosexuality to impressionable youth, Spencer saw an opportunity to evaluate their understanding of contemporary geopolitics. Being like just that autistic and not being able to follow or carry a conversation. Fucking great. Fucking great. I can't relate to it, but like some people might. Ooh, right. Okay. Then like 138, we have Crystal. He comes back to his apartment and he finds Crystal crying because Crystal has found the project. You think I'm a piglet? You think my body is fat like an old couch pillow? And that my face is greasy and pasty, that my piercings are disgusting. Just the weaseling out of it. Oh, it's fucking good, dude. Oh, you mean my novel? They go on a bit, and Crystal's like, how is this a novel? That whole 40 pages about how monarchy is the only legitimate form of government. Crystal is perhaps a bit more savvy than Spencer had assumed. But she leaves despite his pleading and whining and oinking. She leaves. But he ends up going to Crystal's sister's apartment, Kelly. And then, it's just good where it's just like, I'm going to win back my woman, even though she's a whore and a slut and worthless. I'm going to win her back. I'm going to do her a favor. And he even has to fantasize about, I could fuck her sister too. And why not have sex with both sisters at once? The Davy Crockett of Washington Heights. Or would the atmosphere be less convivial and rather more reminiscent of the Alamo? Spencer was not in the mood to become the Davy Crockett of Washington Heights. Spencer ends up punching Enrique in the dick. Take that, you fucking faggot. I will say this, the book was like a pretty good recommendation, pretty high recommendation from me up until this point, but like after this I would have to like out of 10 give the book like 1 star or so, and I'm going to put it up on screen for everyone to see. But bottom of 158, whether induced by Enrique otherwise, whether induced by Enrique otherwise, I don't know what that means. Yikes. That's all I can really say there is yikes. But we'll let that go for now and finish the review. Okay, next shit that happens to Spencer is he gets banned off 3chan where he was posting the project. And he also gets banned off Nutcrankr, which is a porn site where he then was also attempting to post the book about right-wing values on a porn site, which is great. And he has this nice little interaction with the receptionist there. You're trying to publish a book in the comment section of a porn site. Page 180, it's a lot of Spencer crying about his accounts being suspended. But woe to the man who would issue calls for moral restraint and a return to the traditions of old. Will these traditions include absolute monarchy? They might. But Spencer decides on a day of retribution, basically. He's going to do a shooting at the Monkey Love May Day, which is just a bunch of the sexual degenerates like Crystal, Enrique, Hunter, and Elena, and he's going to get his revenge on everybody. And then just hopefully they'll like post his manifesto. Oh, you know what we're never going to get? We will never get that fucking Nashville Trannies manifesto. That is never going to fucking happen. That will never be released. Whatever. Everything else in Spencer's life, his little mass shooting doesn't work and he's a bitch and he doesn't kill anybody. But it's really great because we have Spencer. He went through jail where, we saw him at the beginning of the book. And he's now has something at the end called the Tolerance Project, where he's like not a podcaster, but he's like a public speaker about de-radicalization and shit like that. And it's called the Tolerance Project, My Journey Back from the Extreme Edge. And it's fucking good and on point for a lot of people where it's like, blah, 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 these are my values and everything online, but when push comes to shove, or, hey, I can make some money, I can flip sides just like fucking that. I don't have any, like, hard beliefs, man. It's fucking good. It's fucking good, and it 1000% works for Spencer. Spencer also got a dog called Barkus Aurelius, and he's now dating a woman called Margot Weisberg. The circle is complete, coming back from the dissident right. Probably definitely sucked a lot of dick in jail from a guy called Tiny, but it's great. He's a sellout. He believes in nothing but himself. He's a horrible hypocrite. And the book is just like fucking honest. And it's got like a really good voice. Like a really, really good voice. Just like the little like fine art shit around his apartment. The book I got it on Amazon for like $16. I would say with that like otherwise thing, like maybe try messaging the author on Twitter to see if you could like get it for $1, because that really isn't acceptable. But yeah, it's like $16 on Amazon. It's published by the Terror House Press. I don't know if I'll check out more of their stuff, and maybe I will at some point, but probably right now I just have a big backlog right now, so probably not at the moment. But I did check out, he did like some podcast thing. It's called the New Right Podcast, and I saw one episode, and I don't know, like, I think we have similar worldviews, similar people we have problems with, but I don't know, like, hypothetically, if we were to win, and if we don't have, like, better morals and a worldview as opposed to the people that we're replacing, are we not just going to create the same system that they have created? So I don't know. They seem like okay guys, but more like libertarian-y in some of the values and things. So I don't know. I understand, like, I'm not like a prude or I try not to be a hypocrite. If we're defeating an enemy, are we just replacing them with our own people doing the same things and having the same behaviors as them? Still, I would definitely read more by Dan Baltic. This was really funny. I didn't expect to laugh that much as I was reading it, but it was good. It was really fucking good. Sorry for not uploading more, but I've just kind of like, I was trying to check out this like British historical drama thing, The Pallisers, but oh my god, I just would do anything else besides watch more, because it wasn't like horrible, but it's just like not really for me. Next week, I plan to have something on In Cold Blood, the book, in the movie Capote. I'm going to talk about why I fucking don't like Capote, and there'll be that. I'll have more indie books, hopefully another Welcome to the Trough video in like 2 weeks. That's kind of the plan, but I'm happy I read Nutcrankr, because recently I just bought some blueberry plants. I bought 4 of them, and these are my emotional support. When I tell you that I've put all of my emotional needs in one basket and 4 blueberry baskets, I'm not exaggerating. I need these things to fucking grow, dude. I just want to kind of grow something, see how it would go, but I don't know. Nothing yet. I think they're dead. I think I probably fucked them and killed them. But if they do grow, I am worried, because I heard that birds just like fucking love blueberries. So I'm probably gonna like, I might get like a work cat. Like, I'm not a fag, so he would not be a house cat. He would live out in my yard, and I would just keep him there to eat birds. I'd make him a little house out of like Domino pizza boxes, and he can live in that. I'd probably call him Diabetes, but I don't know. I'm just like overthinking it too much, and I would just get cucked by this dude, and this guy would not even bother like going for the birds, and I would just like look out my window one day, and I would see his fat fucking face stained blue with the fruit of my labor, and he would just cuck me and eat my blueberries. And if I were to attack him, if I were to go after Diabetes, I would be the one that would get in trouble. Not this rapist of decency and Western morality, not this thief. I would get in trouble for beating the shit out of him. I would have to buy store-bought blueberries to feed him. But I'm probably overthinking it. I probably killed the blueberry plants I have, so I don't have to worry about getting a cat and then that cat cucking me. Unreal. There is some good stuff in there. There is some more stuff that I enjoyed in Spare Change. Nutcrankr is good. I think if you kind of like 4chan and that kind of humor, it's self-flagellating, but it's not like, it doesn't go like too far. It feels honest and authentic, and I don't think we need like every character and hero to be like the epitome of like Western values and strength and everything. But it just feels honest, Yeah, a bit degenerate, but like honest, right? So I think it's fine and good, and I enjoyed it. I'll have links down below, and that's about it. If you're new to the channel, I have like some book reviews, some like media reviews, and that type of thing. There's some shit posting, but that's it. Thanks for watching. Dr. Infinity out.